So, like, we're not just going to be able to get our horses up this. If we're going to keep going up, we're going to have to get off and climb, is the gist I'm picking up.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting too.
It would be possible. It's not horrifically steep, but it's going to be slow going whether it's on horseback or not.
I mean, horseback when we can and pull the horses when we can't.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys sort of steel yourselves for a moment and start heading up the face of the Thalamont. And as expected, it takes some time. It slows down your pace drastically. Not that you were like hi-ho silver and whipping it to death like True Grit on the way over, but you were, running across at a good pace. And now it's more just slower than a trot in most stretches, occasionally a little slower. Occasionally it flattens out more and you can sort of speed up. But for the most part, it drastically reduces your pace. But you're able to kind of keep weaving the horses through the most treacherous spots or the parts that look the most steep. A few minutes pass and you stop for a moment and you can look back and see Still Valley behind you and that you've probably already ascended 1,500 feet or more. In fact, the temperature that was slightly uncomfortable has now regulated itself just from the elevation you've already climbed. Lena, that tugging sensation feels stronger, almost like tangible at this point. It's not literally pulling you, but it just feels like you can almost like just sense this tether almost pulling on you.
Okay.
It's not like you're standing there and it's like, whoa, but you can still sort of tell that you're in the right direction because whatever's happening here, it's definitely getting stronger.
We're getting close, Lena.
Yes, we are.
I'll have everybody make a perception check, please.
Holy cow.
All right, so the dice isn't rigged. Good.
4.
27.
I critted.
12.
Okay. Tessie, that view sure is pretty.
It is.
Lena and Isaac, you're noticing that further up the mountain, especially now that you're closer and are not looking up at such a steep angle, there does appear to be an inlet of sort. And you can't really tell from this distance just yet if it's just some kind of like curvature in the face of the mountain that has been cut out via some means or something like that, or if there's something else there. But something that kind of stands out to you as you look a little bit further up ahead on the pace as different from the rest of the local topography. And Isaac, with a natural 20, you can actually see even from here that it does appear to be cutting into the face of the mountain to the point where could be an entrance, a cave mouth. Again, from here you can't tell for sure, but it seems like, especially with your keen eyes, Isaac, it looks as though that could be where you're headed.
My money's on that being the entrance to the shrine. The shrine.
Sure.
If it is indeed here.
I'll nod and say, that looks too distinctive to be just part of the mountain. I think we should head there.
Where?
Tessie.
Yes.
Up
Over
here.
here. This way.
Oh.
See that?
Ah. Yes, that's probably it. We've got to be in the right place. All signs point to this being it.
Yes.
Why do you people choose to ride on these cursed beasts?
Crash, you're
you
doing great.
You just have to be gentle. Here, I'll help you. So I try to help.
His
Okay.
horse, which is named Beast.
I love it.
I would never refer to it as anything other than that, possibly food. So
Okay.
His
And
name is Breakfast.
between your vision of it, Lena, and just the sense that you have internally, like, it does match up. It seems to be in that direction.
Okay. Awesome.
It's difficult. Only upon approaching at this point can you really kind of see it made out distinctly, because the somewhat rapid rise in elevation and just the fact that from a distance it wouldn't look like anything other than maybe just a different contour on the surface of the mountains. But as you guys ride up this final stretch, it does indeed seem like it has an opening to it where it doesn't go straight in, but the front has this sort of curvature to it that allows for a right turn on the inside, if that makes sense. So from the
Okay.
front, it would look like just sheer stone, but upon getting to the mouth of it, upon closer inspection, you see like, oh, this actually has a spot where you can go in between.
It's Labyrinth at the beginning.
I don't know
Tessie,
if
and
I've
this
ever
looks
seen all
like
that.
Labyrinth at the beginning.
I'm not familiar with that tale. Is it one of your gunslinger ones?
You've never seen the movie. So cool. So yeah, let's keep. Isaac's starting to get excited now that we're getting close again.
Yeah.
Felt like we were never gonna get here.
Well, Lena, make sure you go first, given that last time there was
Yes.
that
I'll be
barrier.
going first.
And we
Yep.
may want to get off our horses and walk.
Yes, I'm gonna tie mine up. Did we bring like oats or something for them? I'd like to give mine some oats if I have any, but I don't know if I do. If not, that's okay.
Well,
Druid craft some oats.
yeah, there you go.
I don't know that that's a thing.
I don't know if that's possible. Sure, why not? I don't know. Okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
Horse
Box
will
of
be
Cheerios.
fine. He
Yeah.
just ate this morning.
You have rations and some of that wonderful jerky that you love so much, apparently, and
Hey, look, those are my cat instincts kicking in. I had
Well,
no control over
the
that.
horses might love it too.
I'm gonna give
That's
him a piece of
involuntary.
jerky.
Okay.
One piece only.
And there are spots along the rock wall that are jagged enough that you can kind of tie around the reins and
Okay,
keep the horses there. That's easy enough to do.
cool.
You fed them, you give them some of your excess water, and then you abandon them to die as you go further inside.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Sadly, yes. Their sacrifice was will be forever remembered. Okay, I'm going in first.
Okay. The interior of this is relatively tight. You have to go single file to fit through this gap that's been created in the mountains for Karash. It is not prohibitively tight, but it is somewhat claustrophobic. Ceiling's only about 2 feet above your head, and you have to kind of almost walk sideways, kind of like, crab walking, to get through the gap. It's not mega tight, but it's enough where you're like, this isn't the most fun.
I'll go second.
Okay.
Alrighty.
As you get a few more steps inside this, it gets dark for one thing, as the natural light's angle doesn't really extend too much further in. So you'll probably need a light source to continue.
I will cast light, which is a spell I'm next to positive I have. It
I
is.
have no need for light sources.
I do though, so I cast light.
The rest of us do, damn it.
You can always go up a little bit ahead of the group if you want, so you don't
Yeah.
need the light as much as they do. That's
Yes.
fine.
I have a better
I can
idea.
scout.
Somebody stomp on my foot and get me angry.
What?
I glow when I'm angry.
Is that
Oh,
what did
yes.
you actually say that?
No.
Oh, 'cause I was gonna say before your sentence was even done, Isaac would go over and stomp on your foot.
On it. After sidling this way with somewhat slow going for a couple of minutes, you see a somewhat familiar stone structure.
Ooh.
Just like outside of the spot in the Penella Pass, there appears to be a dais with a flat obsidian surface on it. And Lena, you recall last time this took you putting a hand on it to activate it if you were deemed worthy as such.
Yes, I will put my hand on it. See if I'm still worthy.
Doing so, last time you had this like invisible jello wall. When you place your hand on this, you watch as it lights up with this light blue hue, and basically like silhouettes the exterior of your hand like it's making a Thanksgiving turkey
Okay.
when you're in grade school.
Yes.
And the mountain surface in front of you starts to slide aside after. It's a slow start because it seems like it has to like get unstuck, like a, and then
Okay.
reveals
cool.
an entrance to a cave that descends. There's no
Okay.
staircase, but you can see that it leads downward.
Well,
All right.
deeper we go then.
Let's go. And I
Why
start.
does it always have to be like underground or in caves? Could it get a nice one in like a flowery field, maybe?
I doubt they could keep it hidden very well if they did that.
Oh, that's all right.
You guys head inside, and the descent is steep enough that you can't walk too quickly without starting to risk, like, losing control, stumbling down, and then rolling and whatever. Such that you can kind of feel yourself It's jarring only in the sense that you had just been ascending for so long, and now it's basically the exact opposite of that. Pretty brisk pace to which you're like, God, I mean, who knows where you are relative to the ground around Still Valley, but after descending for a few minutes, you start to think to yourself, must be kind of smack dab in the middle of this part of the mountain range, because damn, man. And eventually, this path, which first of all is much more smooth. The entryway before the marker basically appeared as though it had been either cut out or formed naturally or something of that nature. The interior, again, like the last time, seems much too smooth to have been done by something other than intentional means. Like, even if you're not super familiar with geology, you just kind of know that rock formations wouldn't take this form on their own. Something has to have set it up this way. But eventually that path that is smooth as a baby's bottom, which is just a weird saying.
I hate it.
Don't like it. Opens up into a pretty big rectangular room. Everybody make a perception check.
Big 6.
12.
I crit it again.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
18. I'm waiting for the rush of ones we're gonna have one day.
One day. Okay. Tessian, you see some things. You know, you're not blind, but
This cave is so tall.
yeah. It's been a very spacey. He's got too many details swirling in his mind from all the reading he did yesterday because he took on a lot, and he's just
True.
like, "What the hell's happening?" Crash, you, and to a lesser extent Isaac, see a circular glyph on a slightly raised platform. We're talking like a step up in the center of the room. Some kind of crest on the surface of it. Looks to be octangular inside of a circle. There are 8 torches surrounding this glyph on this small little dais, as it were, although it's barely raised over the surface of the rest of the room. Karash, you see that the runes and the lines of the glyph itself do appear to be slightly glowing as you approach. And Lena, you see that as well. You also see on the far side there appears to be a door
Okay.
across the room. Mm-hmm. And above it, can you read Draconic? I think you can.
Let me check. That sounds like a thing I can. Elven, Dwarven, and Common.
So then, on the wall above the door, you see the word Conatus, and some writing below it that you don't recognize.
I will gesture to the writing above the door and ask if anyone can read it.
Looks like gibberish to me.
It is not one of the languages I'm familiar with. I mean, I don't know. He might be able to notice that it's Draconic, but he doesn't know it. It's like, oh yeah, that's German, but I can't read it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say at some point somebody was trying to teach me Draconic or something, but I got nothing.
Well,
This is not good.
Karash, if you look up at it,
Okay.
you can make out it's slow going because you're barely able to read in English, but you're somewhat surprised to find that you actually can make out what is written there, and you have to kind of go over it letter by letter and then piece it together. But as you look up at it, Karash, it says, "A journey for salvation." And then below that, as you're again kind of going across and relaying this to the group, "Bring only those you trust."
I do. a journey for salvation. bring only those you trust. I don't.
Are you sure, Karash? You just learned to read like a few weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure it was Thea that was going over the draconic stuff with me. I don't remember. It's don't worry about it.
I mean, I could try to like double check his work to see if I recognize any words in Draconic, but that's iffy.
A tough sell.
Yeah.
I mean, the best case scenario is that you think he's close.
Yeah.
You're not familiar enough with the language to really piece it together yourself, but from the limited amount you understand and just like the structure of the words and the number of characters, you can kind of be like, that is close. Maybe it's not exactly what it means, but...
See, close makes me nervous because it could be a journey for damnation. Kill those you trust. And much less comfortable with that.
I'm not sure that makes sense.
Aren't we going to go do this anyway? So,
Well, this if it says bring only those you trust, I mean, we trust each other, but what if there's another meaning to the riddle?
Well, Tessina walk up. Is there? You said there's a door, right?
Yeah.
Is it got like a handle and stuff like that?
It does.
No, he'll try to open it.
You go to open it, I would say, don't you think?
There's this glyph over here. Maybe we should start with this.
And also, Lena should be the one who is interacting with things if last shrine is anything to go by.
Okay. It's just it clearly anticipates more than just her. If that is the text it says.
Well, go ahead, Lena. Whether it's the glyph or the door.
I'd actually like to investigate the glyph a little bit first, because that's the first thing we saw when we came in.
Okay. As you go over towards the dais, seemingly in response to your proximity to it, it starts to glow more strongly.
Ooh, okay.
And for a moment, the room is awash in this light blue light. And before you even have a chance to really check out the glyph itself, it fades, and you see in the center of the glyph, which is still dimly glowing along its lines, the runes themselves are no longer lit up, but you see a man in the center of the room.
Whoa! Okay. That's cool.
Decked out in what appears to be almost a head-to-toe but more skin-tight trench coat of sorts with an almost ludicrous amount of buttons on it, most of which could not possibly be used to hold scraps of fabric together. A series of vials and bottles attached to the lower extremities, like around the waist and even up along the legs to some extent, with various colored liquids in them. And the man is laying on the ground and does not appear to be conscious.
Was he here the whole time?
I don't think so, no. I'll go over to him and try to wake him up.
I draw my gun, and I'm going to follow you pretty closely.
Okay.
Lena, as you approach, and how are you going to try and wake him up? You're going to have Isaac shoot him?
No, I will probably just start with, like, shoulder, like, hand on the shoulder, kind of like trying to shake him awake. That'll be a start. We'll go from
I
there.
nudge him with my foot.
Aren't I on a table? Did you, like, reach up with your foot? And...
They're on the ground.
Oh, okay.
They're on the ground like some kind of weirdo.
Okay.
Also, this is, for those who don't know, this is Nick. Welcome, Nick.
I don't like his trench coat.
You have a trench coat.
That's why I don't like it.
Oh, come now.
Cramping his style. I can show you guys. I didn't have it queued up in a way where I can show it on this. Well, I can show it on the stream. Hell, I have a camera. Hold on. Let me move this cord.
How many vials
We can
does one
bootleg
man
this stuff.
need?
That's not great, but it works. It gets the point across.
There he be.
As Lena, you kind of shake his shoulder gently, and he gets a somewhat brusque kick from Isaac. Nick, your character, comes to. And it takes a moment for your vision to clear. Your head feels kind of hazy. And you look around and you're looking for somebody that you recognize, but as your vision sort of clears, none of these faces seem to be recognizable to you.
Especially the barrel of the gun in your face.
If you have the gun to his face, I will try to slap it away.
Genmo? Is that you?
There's no Genmo here, friend. Do you want to explain what you're doing here?
Are you part of the trial, perhaps?
Tessin walks over. Who's this?
I don't know. I walked up to the dais and it glowed, and then he just showed up.
Trial. It don't look like no courtroom.
Wait, what?
Tell us, friend, do you have a name?
Name's Luca.
Well, Luca, what's the last thing you recall?
Oh, dark. Lots of dark. I was surrounded by it. I was looking for my friend, Gemmo. Some bloke said he knew where he was.
And where did your search take you?
That was it. I didn't get to search. Next thing I knew, I was here.
Do you know where here is?
Some poorly lit cave.
Some cave. Excellent. Are we really going to waste our time here? We get to move on. This guy doesn't even... Maybe he's drunk or something.
Well, hold on. Where are you from?
Oh, good lord. I didn't get that far. Come on.
Oh, bother. I broke it.
The land of Iowa.
Yes, the land of Iowa. Somewhere, Chris, quickly, somewhere magic that is okay.
Well, you had most recently been staying in Lycidian.
Let's stay at Lycidian. Lycidian. That's where I was born.
You're a long way from Lycidian, friend.
Is it?
Gosh, do we have dates? Is there a date? Is there like a numerical system that we use in this world that I've just never...
We'll tell him the date, and we can do this.
Well, yeah, we asked him what the last date was. I was about to say, do you know who the Empress was or who was in charge or something? But
The simplest way to reconcile this is basically pre and post war, and it's just for the sake of expediency. It's 40 years after the War of Calamity, and Lou, your last memory was that the war was only 10 years ago.
Correct. And so are we just...
So you can sort of communicate that to each other.
We can suss out. So you're telling us that the war was only 10 years ago.
Are you saying different?
Bloody muffins. Oh my
40
God.
years on our side, friend. I hate to tell you this, but I believe you may have missed a couple decades.
No. What? No, don't tell me that.
Does the word conatus mean anything to you?
Not a lick.
What's the Empress's name?
Camille.
Camilla? Just
Camille.
Camille. Are you familiar with Empress Camille?
And she wouldn't have been born yet?
No.
30 years ago?
Just
No?
about when she was, and people wouldn't have known about her right away anyways, so no.
You say that's the Empress? No.
You're not even familiar with an empress. The
No.
last 3 rulers have all been emperors.
Oh.
Can I just say who the last emperor was?
Yeah, and at that point it would still have been Carrington.
Carrington, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
That's what I say.
well,
Which then does sort of track. Again, testing your knowledge of history is probably the strongest of the group. That does track. If he's telling the truth about when he's from, that is the person who would have been in charge then.
and frankly, that seems like a detail that not everyone would be able to pull out of their ass. I'll be honest with you. That means I trust him, at least. I feel like most people would just be like, oh, yeah, it was so-and-so, and like they would... Anyway,
So
y'all
wait,
don't know your history.
You lot are telling me, though, that Gemmo not here?
There is no Genmo, friend.
We're
How
not
do I-
familiar with one. At
How
least.
do I get out of this place? I need to find Genmo.
Who is this Genmo of yours?
Oh, that's a question and a half. Ugh. I've been looking for him 10 years. He just vanished.
Who is he to you?
So, friend, rival. It's hard to explain. It's we better each other, but it's not always amicable, you know.
Well, when was the last time you saw this friend of yours?
Oh, Lord. He was gonna go do a thing that he got called to do. That's all I know. I don't know what time that means to you, Lord.
Where's your friend from?
Oh, Lord. He's from Winchester.
Do I recognize that name from anything? Genmo at all?
Genmo. He have a last name?
Gearshock. I mean, you guys all should recognize him, but that's the players, not the characters.
Karash probably still wouldn't.
Genmo Gearshock, Chris. Do we recall anything?
Well, the question is, what did something like that have ever?
Your characters do not. No.
Yeah.
The players could.
Well, unfortunately, I can't say that we're familiar with him. Look, we're in a bit of a predicament here. You see, this cave is part of a extremely ancient ritual. Something called the Conatus. It's
Is it now?
yes. Your presence here is, I'm going to say odd, given that you're unaware of any of this, but we're on something of a mission, and well, time is maybe not super important, but still of the essence here. We have something that we need to do, and we can't deviate from that right now to assist you.
Okay.
We can help you when we are done, but we do not know how long this will take, and it may become problematic if we take too long.
I mean, are you lot asking me to join you?
No, we're asking the opposite.
I mean, because I'm just content to head out the door right now. Which way's out?
Well, that way, and I'll point him in the direction.
I start walking.
As you head across the room back towards the entrance, stepping off the glyph, there's this moment where you kind of feel your stomach drop, sort of. There's a small step. It shouldn't have been jarring by any means, but when you do so, you kind of look down at your hands all of a sudden, and you can see they're there. You can touch them to each other, but they don't look quite right. You seem half translucent. You're keeping your form together, but as soon as you step outside the path of the glyph, it feels like you're missing a piece of something.
Do we see this?
Yeah?
Is it similar to what some of us have experienced before?
Not exactly.
Okay.
No. There's no form shaking, nor are there any of those particles that you've become accustomed to seeing at certain points.
Okay.
But it's also not completely dissimilar.
It's like a slightly different version of it. Luke, you may want to step back onto the glyph.
And I do so. I back up and I look very shocked.
And upon doing so, your form appears to be back to normal.
So he stepped off the glyph toward the exit, right?
Yes.
Lou, just for experiment's sake, take a step toward me, off the glyph for a moment.
I do so.
Stepping across to that side of the room, your form still has that little bit of fade to it, but it's not nearly as strong as it was in the other direction. It seems like you're only truly whole when you're a part of the, surrounded or at least atop the glyph itself, but leaving it towards the other door has a less profound effect than the opposite side.
Well, this changes things a bit. Okay. Which way's the other out?
Well, we're not entirely sure there is another out, to be honest. But if there is, it would be, and I'll point at the door, it would be that way.
Okay.
Are we supposed to bring him if he is not trusted?
Karash brings up a good point. The door literally says, bring those you can trust. I don't trust this guy. No offense.
I
Kind
have
of.
an idea. I'm
What?
gonna if I asked you to tell the truth in a area of truth telling, would you be okay with that, Mr. Luca?
I mean, I don't see the harm. If you don't trust me, I guess I stay here.
Okay, I'm going to cast Zone of Truth on you in your general area.
Okay.
And I will ask you, can we trust you to not be betray us or something similar?
I see no. I don't think that I have a reason to. That's about the most truthful answer I can give.
Good enough for me.
Which means that assuming we treat him well, and he looks at Isaac, he's our ally.
Is that all it takes now to become allies?
Well, it seems that you're the one I got to convince. What you got for me, sir?
I'm just as well leaving without you. I don't know you, friend. For all I know, you're part of the test, which we would be failing if we brought you with us.
But he said he was telling he was telling the truth, so
That's a very low bar. All
You
those
got
who
to-
tell the truth get to join the Conatus. We'd have a very large group.
And maybe that's the point.
I think you got to understand here that your opinion goes two ways. I don't know a lick about you either. If you can explain to me what this is all about, maybe I can give a clearer answer in this little circle doohickey, whatever.
Well, guess what, friend? I'm not trying to join you. You're trying to join us.
I'm not
So-
trying to do a thing.
he wants to.
I want to find Genmo. That's what I want to do.
I don't care about Genmo. Here's what I'll ask. Here's the question I'm concerned about. How can you actually help us with this trial we're about to undergo?
He just appeared here. I would imagine that it is a component of it, but I'm not as familiar as Lena would be.
It's wild conjecture. Let's hear it from our new friend Lou.
I think you'll find that I got rather a lot of tricks up my sleeve. There's a variety of things I can help you with. You okay over there, Mr. Blue Dragon?
I'm fine. I'm perfectly content. I don't worry about it, I guess. If you are telling the truth, and I believe you have, then I am
I was more,
perfectly
I'm
fine.
more worried about the pained look on your face, by the way.
Oh no, no. That's not correct. That's just me.
Okay.
No worries.
It's okay, guys. Mike's just in pain.
Fine, you all want to let him join, he can join. But I'll tell you what, Lou, if it comes down to you or any of my group or even Horse situated out front, I'm choosing them.
Isn't it Lena's choice to keep him? I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, I was under the impression I was the dissent, the opposite opinion from everyone else.
But I'm just saying it's her Conatus.
Which is Lena. Okay. I was under the impression
Oh,
Crash
I
Lena
finally
wanted
learned
him
my
to
name.
join as well.
Well, I don't think he is part of the trial as I initially thought, but We can't very well leave him here. If he can't get off the glyph and leave, he's stuck. If we take him with us, maybe we can solve why he's fading the way he is and allow him to depart after the trial as he sees fit.
It seems very unlikely that there is a magical force at work that is separate from the Conatus in the exact place of the Conatus. It seems. I mean, I don't.
I'll be honest, Crash is a little bit right. I'm a bit perplexed at the idea that time magic is at work here in the Conatus. I don't think that is a coincidence, given everything else that's happening. That said, Isaac, I will also point out that there's an alternative interpretation of the words on the door. Bring only those you can trust may also mean that in order for us to succeed, we must bring him, and thus we must learn to trust him and trust others. This could be something of a trust exercise, if you will.
Well, I don't trust him, but if you all want to bring him, that's fine. I'll keep my eyes on him, so when he betrays us, at least one of us will be ready.
Oh, okay. And can we go now?
Well,
Please?
I guess we'll see. Lena, can you open the door?
I will go over and try to open the door.
Okay. You walk over across to the far side of the room again and test the door handle beneath the sign or the writing on the wall that says Conatus and the bit. Handle turns.
Okay.
Door can swing open.
I just want to stick my head in real quick.
Okay. Poking your head in, it looks like a hallway.
Okay. Guess.
Wide enough to go at least 2 across. Maybe a 10-foot ceiling. Decent size, certainly better than what you squeezed in the entrance of the mountain. But also not exactly the roomiest experience in the world. But it extends pretty much straight forward as far as you can see with your dark vision, which is 60 feet if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds like a thing.
I don't think it's 120 for you. That's something else. So yeah.
Does it look like there could spikes could come out of the walls or ceiling or something?
You're saying you're looking for traps.
I'm looking for traps. This feels like an Indiana Jones type hallway, and I don't like it.
I haven't done that to you
God.
before, have I?
Giant boulders, no!
You can make a perception check. That's the one for traps, right? Not investigation. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
It can be both, realistically.
Yeah. If she's going to look at it from the hallway, it's perception.
25.
25. As far as you can tell, this looks like a relatively straightforward hallway. You don't see anything on the walls or the ceiling or the floor that indicate something has jutted out from it recently, nor do you see any tripwires or anything of the sort that reaches across. So at least from this vantage point, as far as you can see up the hallway, seems fine.
Okay. I'll relay that to everybody. It's just a hallway straight through here.
Okay. I'll light a torch, just why not?
Well, there are torches around this glyph, right?
I feel like we
Yes,
should light
unlit.
those probably.
Unlit. I will pick one of those up and use prestidigitation to light it.
Okay.
And then I want to hand it to Luca while he is on the glyph.
I mean, okay, to be clear, yeah, sure, I'll hold it. I am a half-elf. I also have dark vision.
Please play along with me. I wonder if the glyph or things associated with it will help you stay more substantial as you move through this place.
You take the torch in your hand, and it illuminates the area around you. You're going to step off the glyph.
Okay, yes, I will.
Okay. Same thing still, assuming it's in the direction of the door going forward, where your form just... It's almost like you take something to 80% opacity instead of 100%. It's just a little bit less of you there, but it's still nowhere near the strong of the effect on the other side of the room.
What about the torch in his hand, though?
Doesn't seem to make a difference.
Okay, so it's still solid, but it's also still in his hand.
Correct. He has.
Okay.
He's able to hold on to it even when he steps off as part of his physical form. And again, you don't feel any different. Lou, it's just kind of you just look at yourself and you're like, that ain't right.